gift is a seed. You can easily be the change that we need. Keep your mind alert and your heart with peace. Be the change that we want to see. Yeah, don't share your gift. Yeah, your gift is a seed. You can easily be the change that we need. Keep your mind alert and fill your heart with peace. Be the change that we want to see. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mentality Unchained. I am your host, the neighborhood therapist, Dr. Kevin Thomas. Today, we're talking and we're wrapping up Women's Month, and I wanted to really touch on some things when it comes to social media, branding, and just the overall consulting. So today, I have Miss Mercedes Joyner. I don't know why I want to say Joyner. That's my grandmama would say. But Mercedes Joyner, and she's the owner and sole proprietor of JMC Strategic Consulting. So I just want y'all to give a great welcome to Mercedes Joyner. What's up, girl?
It's good to be here.
This is my girl, y'all. And so she's really like, I don't want to be here right now. So I'm giving her a taste of what she usually do to me.
Man.
So, but no, thank you for coming on.
No, I couldn't say no.
You couldn't say
Literally.
You really couldn't say no.
Literally.
No, you couldn't. Mercedes does a lot within this community, and she definitely does a lot to keep me in line. So this is one of my team, one of my special persons, and I wanted her to come on and talk about some of the things that are happening now in social media when it comes to branding, also bridging the gap with different collaborators. Like, she does it all, and I wanted to talk to her about that. But then also, as everyone know, on this show, we talk about mental health and we talk about culture. And so we're going to hit on those topics as well. But Mercedes, just tell everybody what you do, man.
So I'm Mercedes Joyner. I do branding, social media. I started off with doing social media. So that kind of launched everything I do. I work with political campaigns, helping get signatures, helping run campaigns, branding. Pretty much anything with branding an organization and a business is what I do. Okay. Photography, websites, pictures, social media, it all comes together.
Gotcha. Okay, so give the people a little bit of your background, as far as education wise. How did you get into the social media aspect of it?
Yeah, so as far as education, I have my bachelor's in communication and my master's in communication, but they're both focusing on public administration and looking at organizational and rhetorical leadership. Okay, it takes a little bit deeper dive into public administration as far as like how messaging and policy is created. How I got into it. So I fell into it by accident. Okay. Social media was something that I've always done, but I never knew that I was going to have a business doing it. I knew I was going to have a business because I grew up seeing my dad do it. And I was like, my first words were, how are you making that? Gotcha. So I knew I was going to have a business, but I didn't know what it was going to be. And it actually started when I was in grad school. I was working on campaigns. I was working on things, and I was ready to quit. Like, gotcha. I was in my first year of grad school, I think my first semester, and it was Thanksgiving break. So it was that November. Yeah, that November we were on break from at home. I remember we were in the living room. My dad was in the kitchen, and like the way it was opening. Okay. And I told him, I was like, I'm not going back to grad school.
You just told him? I
told him. I was like, I'm not going back. And he was like, what? And like, to know me, you know, I joke most of the time, but you know when I'm serious. Yeah. And he looked and he stops cooking. And he was like, "You're serious?" I was like, "Yeah, I haven't paid for classes. That money you gave me for classes, it's still in the account." Okay. And he was like, "Wait, oh, you really serious?" I was like, "I'm withdrawing. I'm coming home. Like, we might as well set a date for me to move my stuff back." And it was in that moment, grad school had gotten so hard. And he was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You need to find an outlet." Wow. And I was like, an outlet? He was like, your education is a tool. You need to figure out how to use it. Okay. Like, you're what gets you the job. The education gets you the interview. Right. So from there came Join Her. Join Her is like my blog. That it became a truth blog.
Okay.
Where I shared my experiences with other graduate students of what I was going through.
Okay.
That way they wouldn't have to go through the same things.
Okay.
Like learning how to create a cover letter, learning how to do your resume, learning how to get internships, learning how to network with people. That turned into my business. So the blog of me venting and telling people how to do all this stuff is what turned into my consulting business, because I started working with campaigns. I started working with local officials down there, other businesses. And then it's funny because I say my first official client was State Representative Maurice West.
Gotcha.
That was my first like big client where it was like, okay, we're making this happen.
Okay.
And that kicked off my business. Like, that was where I was like, okay, we're going to take this serious. Before I was doing it, I was getting paid, but it wasn't like, oh, I have a client, I have a business. It was like, yeah, I'll do this for you because I know how to do it. It's fun.
Right.
But that was the first person where I was like, we really going to do this?
Yeah.
And he was like, you going to do this?
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess so. So it was like campaigning and social media and running his social media. And we had our trials and errors. There were some things where I was like, I know this, but working with the state on the social media side, it's a whole different ball game.
Wow.
It was a whole different ball game. So that's how I got started. And we're here now.
Yeah. We're going to get deeper into that, but like, tell people who you are. Like, who was Mercedes as a kid? Who was Mercedes as a kid? Like, what type of person? We got all these creative juices now, but who was Mercedes before all of this?
Oh, you making me get deep. Okay. Then y'all about to find out some stuff y'all don't even know.
That's okay.
Mercedes was... Who is Mercedes? So I like to describe myself as a ball of fire wrapped in ice. So I'm a complete contradiction. I'm a controlled chaos.
Okay. I like the way you describe that. I really do.
That's the thing. And if you know me, you know, like,
it makes sense.
Exactly.
It does make
sense.
sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, in my head, it's like all this stuff, and you're like, wait. But then once it comes out, it's like, boom, we rolling. And I am, I predominantly grew up with my dad.
Yeah.
My dad raised me when my mom got sick. My mom got sick when I was about 7, 8. She ended up having lupus. So I'm a kid who, at a very young age, had to be way more mature. I ended up having a overactive thyroid. Okay. And I was put in special education. Okay. And no one knew at the time that I had an overactive thyroid. They actually thought I had ADHD.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So then when I moved with my dad, I was diagnosed. They were planning to have my thyroid removed. And he had to go through this whole fight to get me out of the special education classes. And they were like, no. And he was like, no, she just needs discipline. Like, you guys don't understand. And it was a transition of living with my mom and then living with my dad. I'm an only child and a middle child at the same time. Okay. So I'm a lot. Okay. I am... Who am I? Oh my gosh, there's so much.
That's okay.
I'm involved in the community.
Yeah.
I am a person where if I see something, I'm going to do it. I am an overthinker. I process things. Like, I process so much at one time that it's probably unhealthy.
Well, we won't talk about that, but go ahead.
I'm a thinker. I process. Like, I'm one of those people who's probably ready to get kidnapped before they're like not really gonna get kidnapped. And it's just like I probably watched too much SVU, too much Lifetime. Right. I'm a people's person. Like, I care about people. Yeah. And I thought that I cared about people before, but after I had my son, like, the way that I cared about people changed. Yeah. I've always been someone where I wanted to be involved in the community. I've been involved in the community since I was younger. I'm a person where if you want something done, call me. Yeah. I'm going to have a strategic plan. I'm going to have a whole outline. We're going to have to set some deadlines, though. Yeah. Because it can go, like, right. The ideas can run rapid. I'm just me. Yeah. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. It's one of those things where you truly have to know me to understand me. Okay. I'm one of those people where I'll give you the shirt off my back. I'll do anything I can for you. Just don't screw me over.
Right.
Like, I take loyalty very serious.
Okay.
I'm very death before dishonor type mentality.
Right.
I value people in a way where I don't think people are valued that way anymore.
Wow. Those are some real good qualities. I mean, I say that loosely because, like, I've known you for a while, and you really help my team go outside of you and Dinez. Y'all don't see him. He's over here on the side. But this is the team, and it's labeled the team for a reason. And so I do appreciate the qualities that you bring to the table. But I also, hearing you talk about your childhood, I didn't know that they put you in special ed, and you wouldn't even know it if they talked to you. And I know you went to college for communication, but they wouldn't know that you dealt with, like, as a kid, like, do you ever think, like, nothing's wrong with me, or what was your thoughts?
Oh gosh. So me and my dad have this conversation all the time, because he's like, kid, look at where you are. He's like, I never would have thought that this is where you'd be. He was like, it was where I was hoping. And it's funny because I was that kid. It wasn't funny at the time.
Of course
but now,
not. Right? Looking
back, I was that kid where I knew what I was doing.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to say I was too smart, but I wasn't occupied enough. I didn't have enough to do. If you didn't catch my attention, I was going to go do something else.
Okay.
And I was going to figure out whatever that was going to be. Okay. And looking at how I was so active and so involved and trying to do everything. And it was like, okay, but you have to understand why you have to do this. Okay. It wasn't really until I got in high school and college where I took my education serious. Okay. Because I wanted to be on the track team. And, I failed a government test. And this was my dad's way of teaching me a lesson. So he thought. He was like, you can't go to track meet because you failed the government test. And he's like, I know you failed it on purpose because you didn't study. Because you wanted to go to... Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, he's not serious. Oh, he was serious. And this was like a state champion. I was like, you're gonna tell me I can't run? Right. I was like, so I went and retook the test without him knowing. Aced the test. And he was like, he called me while I was at school. He's like, I know what you did. He's like, you think you're smart. And he was like, you can run, but when you get home, we gonna have a conversation. Yeah. And I was like, whatever, I don't care. As long as I get to run. Right. And then the same thing happened in college. But it's instead of it being with running, it was with an organization and different other things. So throughout my childhood, there have to be things to motivate me. There were things that had to motivate me to keep me in check. Wow. And my dad, he knew how to operate with me. He was like, there are certain things where this kid, she's smarter than what you realize, but she knows how to, I don't want to say work the system, but work the system. Like, she wants to do what she wants to do, but she doesn't understand her potential. And I didn't understand my potential. Like, I just knew that I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And at the time, I wanted to run. I wanted to be in organizations. But you have to uphold certain things. And I remember my parents, they were having conversations with me, and they were like, you have a lot of talent. You are way more intelligent than you realize, but you are Black. You're a woman. And they were like, you have to understand who you are. And my dad was like, dude, I remember he told me, he was like, I'm going to get you up out of these classes. He's like, don't you mess it up. And I was just like, he was like, no. And we had to have a serious conversation. I was 8. And he was like, you don't understand who you can be. And it was from there where he started grooming me and telling me and pouring into me. Not that my mother wasn't doing that, but it was different because that was the only person I listened to. Right. So I was that kid where I was busybody, always in something, always trying to do something creative, always trying to recreate things and do things, like a mover, going places. And I didn't know how to use it. Yeah. I didn't know what to do with it. Right. And then finally, when I got in college, I learned what to do with it. I liked people. I like organizations. Right. And the same thing in high school. Right. But I didn't realize that you have leadership skills. Like, that started in high school and it went into college, and then it transpired into the community. And then it was like, it's always been this drive of, ever since I was a kid, I always used to tell my dad, I was like, I'm the chosen one.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, you had the chosen one. I always make this joke with him. I was like, because my older sister, she's 2.5 years older than me. And I always make this joke with my dad. I'm like, yeah, you had to have me. Like, I had to come behind her. She's great, but I'm the chosen one. And like, I used to like joke about it. But it was an ongoing thing in our house. Here she goes saying it. But my dad was like, you need to not change you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, of course I wouldn't change me. Like, duh. Like, to me, it was like okay.
Right.
But then as I went, and even now, understanding what that really means. And when you're meant to do stuff, that can be a burden.
It can.
Like when you really feel internally, like in your energy makeup, that you're meant to do things and you know what it is, sometimes you run from it.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It is scary.
It's really scary. And I ran from it for a while. I ran from it up until about 40 days ago.
Look, and see, you know why you're laughing, right? Because see, you do this stuff to me. that's why you laughing.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
You put me on the spot.
Yep, I'm just saying. Y'all hearing me say this because she do this to me.
That's how you feel when you doing this, and you be like, really, Mercedes?
Right? Really? Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but that's good. So, like, do you take on a different? And this is probably 90% of the young ladies that have been raised by fathers or have this closer relationship with their fathers. Like, do you feel a different sense of accomplishment knowing that your dad was so much a part of your life?
Yes, but I think I also take on a different type of responsibility and accountability that most women who were raised by their father may not. Like, a lot of women raised by their father or who are considered daddy's girls, it's the, oh, my father spoils me. He gives me everything I want. Yeah. I'm not that type of daddy's girl. Okay. Like, it was more of, because I was closer with my father, he was able to teach me a lot of things and I absorbed more. Okay. So I spent a lot of time with him, but it was asking questions. It was seeing how he was doing stuff. It was calling him. It was checking, because it was like, okay, certain things I don't know. Yeah. But it also created a sense of more responsibility and accountability in me, because it was like, because you have a resource and because you know, or because you may not know, you know where to go to. I couldn't do a lot of the things that my friends were doing. Like, that don't change me was like, it became real. It was like, you really can't do certain things. Okay. But it kept me from doing certain things.
Yeah. So. Wow. Okay. So let's talk about social media, man. Like, how did you fall in love with social media after you, I mean, I know you told us a little bit of the story, but how did you fall in love with social media?
So my biggest thing is with communication. I had a friend. We were in middle school. We were in middle school transitioning to high school. And one day she had told me, she was like, you saved my life. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you come to school and you're so happy all the time. And you're like a ray of sunshine. And she was like, I haven't told anybody. But she was like, I was going to kill myself today. Wow. And I was like, what? And like, to a person like me, that's scary. Yeah. Like, that's not nothing to play with. Right. And from that moment on, is where my understanding of how communication was and how what you say and what you do to people really affects them. Yeah. So I have this model of you can like basically implant the idea, but you have to let people claim it as their own. Yeah. So you can tell people they're great, but they have to think that they're great. Yeah. And then adopt that they are great, and then they become great. And that was where my whole understanding of social media really came from, because I understood communication. Like truly understood what communication was, like delivering messages, how you receive it, how you talk to people, your tone, all this stuff. And it was more so of the power of social media and how I wanted to use it. And so I used it in a way where, okay, I was going through things, so let me inspire other people. Yeah. Using it as my outlet. But then it became bigger than that of, okay, how are you going to use it for other people? Making sure that that responsibility was used correctly. So it was really understanding the power of the communication.
Yeah, I think that's huge, because I always shy away from social media, and I do it because just kind of what you're saying is I feel that social media can be extremely dangerous. Yep. And so my thing is, if I'm going to actually engage, I won't say something that's going to encourage somebody. And when you see all the negative stuff that go on, even the judgment of what you put on social media. So I kind of like push myself away from that. And I don't like that feeling. Then too, being in the mental health field, I do know how that's easily can be a catalyst for someone not feeling a certain type of way. And so I really take it really serious. So has social media changed? And if it has, how so?
Social media is like, it's like a pair of scissors. It's a tool.
Okay.
And depending on how you use it, it can be to help you, it can be to assist you, or it can be to hurt somebody.
Okay.
It's really depending on how you use it. Social media has changed where people are so dependent upon it.
Yeah.
Like when everybody's phones was messing up and people were like freaking out, people are going on social media to try to figure out what's going on.
Right.
But we're that dependent upon technology and upon social media that rather than going to the news first, we wake up and get on Facebook.
True.
We wake up and get on Instagram, Twitter.
Sure.
When you'll be at, a party or a networking event and you're posting a picture and doing a Snapchat like you're interacting, and then you sit there and don't talk to anybody after you did your Snapchat.
Yeah. How does it, and that's a good thing. That's a good point. How does a communication person encourage people to communicate rather than to communicate through social media? Even though it's a tool, how do they realize that it is a tool, it's not the way of life? Because like you said, people can get on Twitter, Facebook, and all these other places, but then they can't even put two words together.
Honestly, I treat social media like a business card. You pull it out, you use it real quick, and then you put it back in your pocket.
Who got that kind of restraint?
Exactly. Exactly, though. Exactly.
Young people don't have that restraint at all. And we got some older ones, too, that don't have that restraint.
But that's the thing. It's a responsibility. It's a tool. It's like knowing your tolerance. Yeah. Literally. You go to social events and you can have a drink or two. Okay. You know your tolerance. Yeah,
okay, so I get that. I do get that. So let's build on that. Now, so you said social media is a tool. Yeah. So now how are you using it to build your brand?
Oh.
Yeah.
You're asking difficult questions. So I've recently used my social media more because I run other people's social media. Yeah. And my idea was, I don't have to build my social media because I run everybody else's and word of mouth will get me clients.
That's true.
Which has been great. It's been sustainable. It's been wonderful. But now I'm at a point where I was like, you can't do all this for other people and not do it for yourself. True. That's hypocritical. We have honest conversations. That's hypocritical. I can't tell you as my client or someone else as my client, hey, you need to post videos. You need to post yourself more. Or we need to record this video. And you're looking at me like you don't even do that for yourself. Yeah. So I've had to truly put myself out there more. And I kind of went back to my old vlogging day roots. Like, hey, if I'm feeling some type of way or feeling some type of like, if I have a knowledge or some type of tip, let me record it and post it. And it can be completely uncomfortable because I hate visibility. People probably don't even realize that, but I am the person where keep me behind the curtain.
Well, that's why you out front.
I know.
That's why you right here today, because of that. I will say, if y'all see anything social media, it's not me. It is Mercedes Joyner, and it's the Nez Cochran Roots Branch. Look, let me tell you something. They'll keep you right, but because like you said. So I'm a person that don't like to deal with social media. Yeah. So where do you come in at far as you branding and creating your own? Where do you come in at?
For mine or for other people's?
For other people, because like you said, because you do it for me. Yeah. But just say you didn't do it for me. Yeah. And I don't like to be on social media. So how do you come in and help that person?
Yeah. So basically, I tell you, like, we sit down, we could do an overview of like what your product is, what your social media is about, or who you are. So we'll just use, for instance, like your practice.
Yep.
It's literally doing a audit of who you are, your brand, your audience, all of it, learning your story. A lot of times people want to come in and do brand strategy, but they don't even know who you are. And they want to have all this proposal and this plan. It's like, you don't even know this person. You don't even know if that's going to work.
Yeah.
So I always like to hear, what's the passion behind what you do?
Okay.
I have to, no matter who I work with, I have to understand what the passion is behind what you do. Because if I can understand your passion, then I can understand how to promote you and where it comes from.
So is that safe to say? Because I think I put the cart before the horse. What is branding? And so just for the people,
branding is creating an experience.
Okay.
All branding is networking and customer service.
Okay.
That's truly what it is. A lot of people think it is, a lot of people confuse branding with branding assets.
Oh.
Like branding assets, that's your logo, that's your colors, that's your aesthetic, Okay. Your actual brand is the experience that people walk away with from you.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So I'm a brand.
Yeah. Literally, you are. Literally.
So I'm a brand, y'all. Yeah. I didn't know that until I knew it. I'm just playing. No, seriously, that's good. Yeah. So I do notice though that it's a lot of branding and rebranding. Where does that come in at? What's that about?
So people think it's bad to rebrand.
Okay.
But when you evolve as a person and you change, you have to rebrand because the people that you serve may not be the same. Right. Your purpose may not be the same.
Gotcha.
Everything is forever growing. And if you're changing, you're rebranding.
Gotcha.
Like I've had to rebrand so many times. The logo that I started with is not the logo that I have now.
Okay.
The colors that I started with are not the colors that
Is that not who you are now? I mean, were you were that person, but that's not who you are now, or just a little bit? What is it?
I would say that was my foundation.
Okay.
And I'm building on it.
Yeah, I see she a communication, right? She's just switching her words, right? I'm catching that. I got you.
There's some skill behind it.
It is, because I'm going to tell you, I can't do it. That's why I got you to do it. But I get that. That makes sense. Yeah. So your branding actually grows with you.
Yeah.
It matures.
It evolves.
Yeah. Wow.
It should, at least.
It should.
Yeah.
Okay.
If your branding isn't changing as you're changing, that's a problem. If the brand that you started with 5-10 years ago is the complete exact same brand that you have now, even if you decide to stick with the same colors and the same logo, if your strategy, because that's what branding also is having a strategy. If your strategy isn't updated and you still have the strategy from 10 years ago, there's an issue. There's a problem.
Well, that's good because that's a great segue. So let's talk about JMC Strategic Consulting. Why did you start that, and what's that all about?
Oh, goodness. So with JMC, I started JMC because I've always been raised to have something of my own. Okay. I wanted something of my own. But I wanted something where people knew, hey, this is Mercedes. Because what I didn't realize at first was I was a brand.
Okay.
And this took me later in life to realize. I was at events, I was doing stuff, I was associated with certain people. I was a brand, and it was like, okay, people need to know what you represent and who you are.
Right.
And that's what JMC is. JMC Strategic Consulting. It's Joyner Marketing Communications.
Okay.
And then it goes into strategic consulting because Joyner Marketing Communications is a lot to say. So I was like,
is a lot.
Exactly. I was like, don't nobody want to say all that.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
So it's JMC. That's what I go by. And that is just, I don't know. It's just it's a multitude of starting at Join Her.
So is it now? Does it serve as an umbrella for all these other things that you?
Yeah. So that is JMC Strategic Consulting is where I have the team. That's where I have other consultants working with me. That is over everything.
Gotcha.
So Join Her is under that. The blog,
the
branding services, the social media, the campaign services, all of that is under JMC. Gotcha. And that was hard for me to do.
Really?
Putting everything under one umbrella because, well, one, I'm a Gemini. So
I don't know what that means, y'all.
You know what that means.
But I've been recording all day, and all I've been hearing is Gemini. Listen. So much so I think I'm a Gemini.
Listen, it means like you're multifaceted.
Okay.
Like there are so many different. It's like an assembly line.
Okay.
There are a lot of things going on at once. and they have to be in the correct space for everything else to operate.
I need to do some research on the Sagittarius then, because I feel like I'm a Gemini for real.
Listen, Sagittarius and Geminis actually work well together. They're similar in size.
That's what I'm saying, because I feel like that sometimes too, man. Yeah. So JMC, like, it's really growing, and is it hard keeping the balance? Because
you really get into the questions today.
I know it, right?
Yeah, it's growing, and it's growing at a pace that I didn't expect, and that I was afraid of. Yeah. Recently I added a team, and I added three other individuals, and they were people that I knew, and I was like high anxiety, freaking out, extremely type A, wanting to be in control. Yep. Didn't realize I was a type A personality until having to give over control. And that's something that I'm still working with, because it's like, this is my baby. Like, I have my baby, my son, but my business is oh my goodness. Like,
so let's talk about that. I'm glad you said that. So I don't know if it's a Sagittarius, Gemini, or what. No. It is hard when you have a vision. Yeah. And you know all components. It's hard to relinquish that power and like, okay, I need. So hard. It's hard. It's scary. So you know how I deal with it. I mean, I just let y'all do it. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel that you get me, right? But everybody don't have a team that gets them, so it's really even more hard to kind of release that. Like, so I know you have to trust these people. Yeah. And it's, most of the time, the people that we trust are family members or close friends, right? But that don't always work. Yeah. So you got to deal with personalities now. Now they actually have to listen to you. Yep. So it's like, now you got to actually be boss to mama, daddy, sister, brother, cousin, best friend. Literally. Does it ever change? Does it feel like a change to you? Like, do you have to be one person this day, or how does that work for you?
So the consultants that I have on my team, they all have businesses, and they're all family. Okay. And I was super afraid. Like, I was just like avoidant. Yeah. And a couple weeks ago, one of the consultants on my team, she was like, listen, she's like, you're not using us the way that you need to use us. And like, if you know me, you know when I'm doing too much. Right. I go into overdrive, and I'm like, I got it. And I'm so used to doing it all that it's like I go into overdrive. I go into like this autopilot overdrive. The difficulty with me with using my team is most people are afraid of what they can't do. Like, they're afraid of, I'm going to fail and this and that. I'm not afraid of that. Yeah. I'm truly afraid of what I can do. And if I use my team in my full capacity and I do exactly what I'm supposed to do, that means everything that is in my head is really going to happen. And that scares me. And the reason why it scares me is because I think sometimes people don't take into account of when you really walk in your purpose, things start happening. But when the good things start happening, which have been happening, and this is the first time I'm saying this out loud. All right. So
exclusive.
Yeah. The crazy thing is it's kind of like the whole more money, more problems mindset. Yeah. When you start doing what you really know that you can do, things start happening in different ways. Other obstacles start coming up about in other ways. Yeah. And a part of me is comfortable where I'm at because right now I don't have those obstacles. Yeah. But then another part of me that's moving forward is already foreseeing those obstacles.
Yeah, I think, I think my obstacles now is time, because just what you're saying is that as you continue to grow, there are going to be certain requirements out of you. Yep. And most of the time it's either time or it's opportunity or capacity, period. Right. Yep. And so I think that's a huge thing. What you're saying is, this is what I'm hearing, though. This is what I'm hearing, that most people have these dreams and aspiration and even have the vision. And actually, when it starts to unfold, it gets scary because did they really believe that it would happen? Yeah. And so now it's happening. You're like, whoa, I didn't really expect this to, but now it's doing that. So do you feel that you deal with some of that, or you dealt with that?
I think it's weird though. It's not me thinking that it won't happen.
Okay.
I know it will happen, but I think sometimes people once they hear this, they're gonna be like, "Can't believe she said that."
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I know it's gonna happen, but I think sometimes I try to control and slow down the speed at which it's gonna happen because I don't know if I'm ready for some of those decisions that I'm gonna have to make. That's about as honest and blunt I can say it.
And I'm speechless because you often tell me about where we're going to be.
Yeah.
You often tell me that. And I even though I see it and sometimes I can feel it shifting like that, but then to know that it's coming to that point, it's like, do I really want to have to deal with it?
It's hard being a visionary.
Ooh.
When you can see it, that's the part. It's scary because it's like you can see it and you can see how you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
But you don't always foresee the obstacles, but you know they're coming.
How do you sell that to a client?
How do I sell that to a client?
Yeah, because they may see a little bit of it, but you see a little bit more of it.
I think that I saw this quote and it always stuck with me. 6 months is going to happen no matter what.
That's true.
Whether you sit or whether you move. Do you want to be in the exact same place in 6 months, or do you want to move? Because in those 6 months, you could have a storm. You could have a tornado. Just because you're in the exact same place, that don't mean you're going to be alive. So you got to move, whether you want to or you're not. Whether you want to move or whether you don't want to move. Yeah. Now, if we moving with quality.
Right. And
we're making moves with quality. We're going to make sure that, okay, this is how we're going to do this in an efficient way. We're going to have a plan. I don't do nothing without a plan. Gotcha. But moving can be difficult because are you making progress when you're moving? And sometimes we're on a treadmill. Yeah. And it's like, my feet are moving, but are you making progress? You're in the same spot.
Right.
So truly understanding how to progress.
I think that if you're not, if you're in the same spot as you were 6 months ago, you're not making any progress. You're not growing. Yeah. And so if you're not growing, why are you actually doing the thing?
Exactly.
Like, you don't get into anything to stay stagnant and stay in. Like, it's like if you, let's just say, I joined an 8th grade basketball team and I'm comfortable with just sitting on the bench. Why are you playing?
Exactly.
I want to get in the game.
Yep.
And so I think that's most of the time people, especially young people, is that they don't take that mentality of, I'm starting here, but I'm 6 months from now, I may be here.
Yep.
And so I appreciate that, what you're saying. So what are some of the things that we can do to increase branding and increase visibility as far as, when you're trying to get yourself out there?
You got to get out. I think a lot of people think that branding and marketing is, I'm on social media. I'm running ads. Right. No, you have to get out in your community and be present. One of the things that I learned at a very, very, very early age is be present and active in my community. So I go to a lot of events, but I'm intentional about the events that I go to. Right. But something that we as everyone have to stop doing is when we go to events, don't be standoffish. Don't be afraid. Like, walk up to the person that you think that you're not supposed to walk up to, shake their hand, have a business card, introduce yourself. It's really your net worth is your network. Like, the people that you know are more valuable than your education, than your money, than anything.
I think people are our greatest resources.
Exactly. But the thing is, you have so many people where they're afraid of other people. They're intimidated by other people. You have other people who even think that they're better than other people. So when they walk into a room, they want you to come talk to them. Yeah. Or they're afraid to come and talk to you. And it's like, we're all people. Right. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're afraid. It doesn't matter if you feel some type of way or whatever. Whatever's going on through the day, whatever. When you go to an event, you are there for a purpose, and you have to know why you're going to that event. You have to know what you're going to that event for. You have to be intentional. People nowadays just go to events just to be seen.
Okay. So I get that. So now then, because this is a mental health and a cultural show, how does all of that play on a person's mental health? And here, and I know it can go deep, so I want to kind of drive it in a certain direction. When it comes to even networking, the stress of networking, the stress of putting yourself out there, I mean, like, how does that play on your mental health?
I think it heavily, because it's anxiety. It's anxiety. It's fear.
Right.
You're wondering what people are thinking about you. You're wondering what you think about people.
Right.
You know, you're wondering, what am I going to do? That's why when people walk into a room, the first thing they do is pull their phone out.
Yeah.
The first thing they do is go get a drink. Because then those are ways of trying to network with people.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Hey, where's the food? You know, sitting down at a table, introducing yourself. It brings on a lot of anxiety based on expectation. You don't know people's expectation when you're walking into the room. But to change that perspective, one thing that I do when I go into a room, I silence the expectations of other people, and what do I expect from myself?
Okay.
When I walk in and I leave this room, what do I expect? I know who I am as a brand, so I know how I'm going to carry myself.
Right.
Whenever I have events or whenever I go to events, I just want to meet new people.
Yeah.
I want to have real, authentic conversation because I value people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a CEO.
Right.
I'm trying to learn from you so I can be the CEO of my business,
Right.
and we can network and do something.
Yeah.
Or you may need something that I have, or I may need something that you have.
Yeah.
We may be able to put on a workshop.
Yeah.
Like, by taking away that fear and calming that anxiety, it creates clarity.
Gotcha.
So
I don't have a problem with the networking. I struggle with it takes a lot of energy out of me, because we can sit up here and have a conversation, but to go from this person and this person and this person and this person, it's just draining.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, my wife gets on me all the time because I'm like, she'll want to go somewhere, and I will too. I want to go too, but shoot, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, I'm ready to go. Right? Because it just takes so much out of you.
It's a lot of interaction.
You know, and so I think, you know, and I'm working on it, trying to get better at it. But I think from that standpoint of my mental health is like, I'm so used to now. It's just crazy that it's flipped like this, because I was rowdy as a kid, but now I just want to be by myself.
Yep. I have that. Like, I literally, last week, both my parents, they were like, you need to take time for you. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. I wasn't listening. My body sat me down for 2 days.
See?
And so now what I do, and this was last week, but I had started this before, is because I'm around so many people, it started where, like, I get overwhelmed more quickly. I get more like anxious. So I've really had to have times where I isolate myself. So now, especially because I work for myself, I take 1 day off a week.
There you go.
And then even, so like Mondays are my planning days. Fridays, I'm off unless if I have something to do. In between Tuesday and Thursday, I'm working, I'm doing meetings, I'm doing events, all this stuff. But I have that time to be able to just sit and do nothing.
Gotcha.
Like, you have to have that time to really just soak with yourself.
Yep. I agree.
Because it's overwhelming. Like, talking to people all the time and
it.
solving people's problems. And in your case, hearing people's problems.
Yeah.
And to making sure that you don't internalize that and take that from people.
Because I've been in I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Initially, I did do that.
I can imagine.
I would take it on, and I would even bring it home.
That's a lot.
You know, but over the years, I've learned how to leave it where it's at and find my peace. I always look for my center.
Yep.
I always do that, and so a lot of people see me. I'm just calm. I'm good to go. But there were times where I just took on all those things, and so I only get that way when I'm around my homeboys.
Yeah.
So other than that, the Neds always tell me, he's like, you're a different person around your homeboys. Yeah, I am.
It's
kind
different.
Of a different person. Yeah, but you know, that's a lot of energy though.
Yeah.
You know, networking like that. So
It is.
So in your profession, you do a lot of training, right?
You get a lot of training?
Training, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're training, what are the main things that you're pushing and promoting to people when it comes to branding, social media, you know, strategic planning and all that?
I think the biggest thing that I've seen just across is confidence with people. Like even with myself, like working on, you can't truly represent your brand, right? Unless if you're confident in it.
Okay.
And a lot of times when working with people, they don't understand the value. So we have to sit down and break down the value. Gotcha. Like I've had clients where you would never believe like some of the conversations we've had to have, because it's like, hey, wait a second. Like, you know who you are? Yeah. Like, do you know who you're about to be, what you're about to do? And we really have to go through, we have to walk through the vision. Yeah. And then seeing it's like, okay, this is where you want to be at. This is where you are. Let's walk through it. Let's talk about how we're going to get there. And that calms it, because if you're not confident and you don't have the faith and belief in yourself, you're not going to be able to, fake it, which is what a lot of people try to do. They try to fake it till you make it, but faking it till you make it is building your confidence. Like, so
you sound like you talk about me, but
no, I wasn't. I wasn't.
No, but look, but where is the element of pride, humility, confidence? Because I think that kind of, we can kind of mess that up.
So I encounter them all when working with clients. And that's where the part where I have to play the role of the listener. I have to play the role of the teacher. Like, I have to play different roles, because it's like, this is where you really have to remember that people are people. Right. And this is where that empathic side has to come out. Like, you have to be a people person. Right. Because you have to understand people's experiences of why they are. Like, I had a lady. Ooh. Let me breathe. I had a lady, we were working on her social media, and it was so bad. It was so bad. I'm not gonna name drop.
Please don't.
I'm not gonna name drop. I'm not gonna name drop.
No name drop.
It was so bad. I'm like, why are you so difficult? Like, I was just like, I can't do this. Like, and I was about to get her little check, you can have it back. No, take me off of everything. Right. But then it was like, okay, we gotta have a moment. So I'm just like, what's going on? Like, before we get into the meeting, what's going on with you? Like, let's check in. And most of my clients, I'm pretty personable, but sometimes I gotta be a little bit more what hands-on. And then she was like telling me what was going on and this and how it's affecting her and this and that and all this stuff, and why it's affecting her mood and how she's acting with people. And it was like, okay, let's go out to lunch. Like, let's chill out for a second. Like, let's just be people. And I'm like, do you know who you are? Like, I've had to have times where people be like, do you know who you are? Like, where people have had to check me. And that was a moment where I had to, like, remind her, like, remember what you're trying to do. Yeah. Remember who you are, the essence of what you're trying to do. And you have to control your chaos. Because if you don't, it starts going everywhere. And with her, she wasn't controlling her chaos, and she was in the middle of it. And that was affecting her relationship with me. That was affecting what I needed to get from her to be able to run her social media and to do her branding. And it was just a scenario of, hey, we got to have a moment. We got to have a moment where we really talk about this. And we got it together, but it's just like, you got to remind people who they are. Branding is about you. If you don't know who you are, you don't have a brand.
Sounds like you taking on another hat, too. Sounds like you're trying to take on my role as a therapist.
Listen, I should have sent her to you. Here, listen, you may not know him. Here's Dr. Kevin Thomas. I will make the introduction. Here you go.
Right? No, you're right. No, I get that. I think I do think too, when you really start to build a brand, I think you also are building relationships.
That's exactly what it is.
And so if you can't build a relationship, a therapeutic and a interpersonal relationship, I think that's very,
and it's maintaining them. Like, you have to do maintenance. I always say, I have this quote where I'm like, social media isn't magic, it's maintenance. And that's really what it is, because it's not about the social media. It's not about the branding. It's about the person or the organization. Like, it's maintaining the relationship with them. It's maintaining their understandings of their value. Right. Like, it's maintenance.
Well, as they say in Coming to America, that girl good. That girl good.
I'm learning. I'm still learning.
I talk to her often, so I know as our time is coming to an end, she could tell you a wealth of things, but I'm going to allow her to talk about her platforms, because at the end of the day, if you want the help, if you want the information, if you want the knowledge, you will reach out to individuals to get that. And so I want her at this moment, before we get out of here, to talk about all her platforms, talk about what you're doing, and what's coming in the future.
Oh, okay. This is your get back,
right?
Your get back. That's what
it
is.
is. I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying it.
I know. And like I don't have my curtain to hold on to. I'm just
enjoying this.
Oh, okay. So once again, I'm Mercedes Joyner. I'm with JMC Strategic Consulting. I do branding, strategic branding, not just social media. So a lot of people think that I just do social media, and that's a huge component of what I do. But I've expanded now. It's truly about understanding brand maintenance and creating brands and maintaining brands, making sure that they're sustainable. I don't want to create brands that are just here for a moment. I want to make them last, and help them build their foundation and build up. There's ways to be able to reach to me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I can tell you my business page. It's JMC Strategic Consulting, but everybody just adds me on my personal. So I have a branding page, Mercedes Joyner. And then as far as email, it's mjoyner, so MJOYNER, at jmcstrategicconsulting.com. What's to come in the future? An empire.
All right.
I am building.
Yeah.
I've built my team. I'm building a network. I'm building a lot. It's basically a branding one-stop shop where you come, you get what you need, and I want people to know where they can recognize certain people in the community of that person's working with Mercedes. And the reason why you know that person is working with Mercedes, because not only things are getting done, but how their branding looks. Gotcha. Like there's a certain essence and a component to their branding that's personal, that is relatable, it's real. Gotcha. A lot of the times people, when they create branding, they create false narratives. I don't want to create a false narrative. I want to build and share on the story and the narrative that you have and tell people. So that's what's coming. A lot of storytelling. I'm working on a documentary with someone that I am super proud of. Okay. I didn't even know I could do this. Okay. And I'm trying out new things, and a lot of great things are coming.
Wow, that's a mouthful. I truly appreciate you. Not only because you and I work closely together, but because of the person that I've seen you evolve into. Yeah. I
got me at the beginning.
I know Mercedes really good, but she's a great person and she deserves everything that she's getting right now, everything that she's involved in.
I appreciate that.
She's building. And I will say, hit her up on one of those platforms. Yeah. She can help you out, so you don't have to just be from the Midwest region. That's why social media is so good.
Yeah, virtual.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
And so make sure that you will put some links also in the chats and stuff like that. So, but make sure though, more than anything, that you take care of your mental health. And as I always say, when I end my episodes, is that we all have the ability to change our circumstances only if we focus on what we can focus on. So I just ask that you guys continue to support me, continue to follow me, Mentality Unchained, everywhere. My name is the Neighborhood Therapist, Dr. Kevin Thomas. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode. And to all the women for Women's Month. Yep. Women's Month. I almost said mental health, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Women's Awareness Month. I thank you guys, all the women. Hats off to you. Much respect. Thank you guys, and we're out.